Hello, everybody. We are live, and this is episode number 6 of Feature Showcase Live. As you know, every Tuesday at 6 p.m., we discuss a DaDaBIK feature in depth. We try to discuss, a particular DaDaBIK feature in depth. If you are new to this channel, what is DaDaBIK? DaDaBIK is a low-code, no-code platform. So basically, it's a platform you can use to build other applications, typically internal tools, database applications, many kind of different applications you can create with little or no coding. That's DaDaBIK. My name is Eugenio Tacchini. I'm the founder of DaDaBIK. I've been working in the no-code, low-code industry for many years. In fact, the first release of DaDaBIK was in 2001. I also work in academia, teaching databases and data science courses in college. In case you haven't tried DaDaBIK yet, here you can see the URL dadabik.com/download. From here, you can start a 30-day free trial. All right? Okay, so if you have followed this series before, you know that I normally use sorry, it seems that my my camera okay, sorry for that, but it's always tricky to okay, it's always tricky to do the live and keeping track of everything. So I was saying that I use always the same application. It's an inventory system application I've created with DaDaBIK to show all the features. So that's an application we can use to track our products, our inbound and outbound movements. We have a dashboard, we have our customers, and so on and so forth. Last time we started analyzing permissions. Permissions in DaDaBIK is a very, very big topic. That's why I first decided to split this topic into two different lives, first episode and second episode. But this morning, when I was reviewing the topic, I realized that I need 3 episodes basically. So we will continue today, but next time there will be the last episode about permissions, because again, that's a lot to say. So this is my document where I have everything I wanted to tell you about permissions. And last time we were here, basically here. Okay. So we discussed in general how users and groups are represented in DaDaBIK, and we focused on table and field CRUD permissions. CRUD stands for create, read, update, delete. These are the typical 4 operations you execute on a database. Okay. And last time we explored granular permissions versus non-granular. With granular permission, you have a very granular approach with permission, so you can set that, for example, for a particular field, a particular user group can only edit but not create. So that field will be available in the edit form, but not in the create form, for example. Okay, that was the granular permission, and then we explored the non-granular permissions as well. Now it's time to go on. In case you haven't watched the first episode, it's important you do it before continuing with this episode. What I want to discuss today is for sure this part, and probably this part as well. Okay, so automatic permission settings. So maybe you are wondering, what happens when you create a new table or you add a new field in DaDaBIK. By default, now we are talking about granular permissions enabled, which is the default configuration. And by default, when you create a new table or you add a new field to an existing table, all the permissions are set to no. All right. So if you add, for example, a field to a table, let's say here, let me check here all our, okay, countries. Okay. If I add a field to countries here, let's try add field, and let's call it test, and that's integer number, and save. Okay, this is the admin area, as you know, and I keep it open. I prefer to have on the left the application and on the right tab the admin area. So countries, as you can see, I only see name. Even if I create a new country, I only see name, even if I have added test. Why? Because again, by default, and let's check this in permissions. By default, new fields are added, setting all the permissions for all the groups to no. Okay, and that's a very let's say conservative approach about permissions. So you have to basically configure every time the permissions, and this could be, this is I would say again a good approach from the point of view of the security, because otherwise you add a field and immediately people see, the users see the field in your application, even if with the new beta dev mode this is not entirely true. But let's forget for a moment the beta mode. Maybe you want to think about it and add the permissions by yourself. But maybe in other cases you want to speed up the process and you want DaDaBIK to assign permissions to enable some permissions to some groups by default. So what can you do about that? There are a few things you can do. Let me show you. Okay. So the first thing you can do is you can work on this configuration parameter, grant permission after table installation. I am in config custom.php, our configuration file. By default, this parameter is set to 0. Okay, so as we said before, no permissions are set. Everything is set to no. But if I set this to 1, let's try again. Same thing. So data. Let's add another field, test2 this time, and save. This time test2 is already here. Why? Because of that settings in our configuration file. So if you set that parameter to 1, when you add a new field, like in this case a test 2, all the fields are set to yes for all the groups. So admin, employees, and also managers. Okay, good. And that's one option you have. Then another value you can set for this parameter is 2. In this case, for when you add a new field, for the admin group, all the permissions are set to yes, exactly as we saw 1 minute ago. But for all of the other groups, non-admins, the permissions are set to no. Okay, so that's another option you have. What else? That's another parameter that can be useful, this one. Let me tell you that first of all that it only works with MySQL. So if you're using Postgres, SQL Server, SQLite, this setting this parameter to 1 does not have any effect. The idea of this parameter is to control automatically the permissions of auto increment fields. So when you let me show you an example. Well, maybe we can create a new table. So I set this to 0. Okay, later we will see what is the impact of that, because by default is 1. I set it to 0, and I set this to 1. Okay, so all the permissions to all the groups. Let's create a new table. Okay, data test table, create. Okay, by default, when you create a new table from here, DaDaBIK add an ID field, which is an integer number auto increment. What is auto increment? Is a field that when you insert a new record gets automatically a value. Okay, first record is it gets the value 1, then the value 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on and so forth. You don't have to specify to set a value when you insert records, because the value is automatically assigned. So ID, and then I don't know, test field integer. Okay, only 2 fields. All right, let's see what happens here. Permissions. Remember that we set grant permission after table installation to 1. That means give the permissions to all the groups for the fields. No, it's not countries, it's test table. All right. Okay, so the field test field has all the permissions set to yes. However, the field ID, since it's an auto increment field, has all the permissions set to no. You may wonder why we would need this approach, why this approach would be useful. Because, you know, very often, test table here, the auto increment ID is not something the final user of your application needs to see. Okay, well, for sure you don't have to show the field in the create form, because again the field is automatically a value for the field is automatically assigned. But probably you don't even need to show the fields even in the other forms. So that it makes sense to hide the fields. I'm not saying that this is always what you need. Sometimes, the ID is important to see, maybe in the results grid, in the details page, maybe in the edit form, but disabled. Well, in that case, then you can change the permissions manually. But if in most of the cases you want to hide the your auto increment ID, then probably you should set grant permission auto increment after table installation to 0. Okay. All right. Let me go on. Let me check my notes. Next thing to show you is templates. Yeah, permission templates. Okay, so the two parameters I show you allow you to they allow a very black or white approach, almost black or white. So either you assign all the permissions to everybody or you don't, and there is also that option where you assign the permissions to admins and you don't assign permissions for non-admins. But you may need something more complex. Maybe you have your groups and in advance that when you add a new table, you want to give all the permissions to the admin group, and then you want to give read, create and edit permission to managers, and then you want to give just read permission to employees. For example, I'm just giving you a random example. In that case, you may need permission templates, and without showing you I'm not going to show you detailed examples about permission templates, because that it would take quite a lot of time, but I will show you using the documentation. Maybe I can zoom in a little bit. I can show you what you can actually do with this feature. So basically, if you check this example, well, it contains a very good example you can use as a to create your own template. So in this example, we have 3 groups: group 1, group 2, group 1, group 2, and group 3. If you are wondering how can you know the group number of each group, because so far we have talked about group names, admins, managers, employees, but here we need the group number, or better, the group ID. You can see it here: admin groups. Okay, so the admin group is in this application, obviously, is group 1. The managers are group 3, and the employees are group 4 here in my application. So in this example, we have set different permissions, different default permissions when you add a new table, or when you add a new field, for when you add a new table and when you add a new field, for 3 different groups. So you have to add code, configuration lines similar to these ones in your, as usual, in your config custom file. And let's analyze this example. Permission templates table default 1 means for tables, so when a new table is created, and in particular for group having ID 1, assign all the permissions, all the table permissions. Do you remember that we have table permissions and fields permissions? Here we go. These are the table level permissions: read, delete, edit, create, details, CSV. And these are the field level permissions. So this sequence of numbers each number represent the value for a specific table permission. Here you have, all the instructions to do that. So 11111 means permission set to yes for all the table permissions. Same thing for field level permission. 111 blah blah blah. It means we set to yes all these field level permissions, when a new field is added. Okay. For group 2, things are different. So for table level is 101111. This means all the table permissions are set to 1, except from the second permission, that is delete. So group 2 by default doesn't have delete permissions on table. For fields instead they have all the permissions. For group 3 the permissions are even more limited. So we have 100010, only read and details table permissions, and another combination of values for field. Okay, so just to summarize here, for each of your groups, again, here we have 3 groups. You can have one group, you can have 10 groups. There's no limit on that. For each of your group, you can set a rule, a permission template, saying for that group, when I add a new table, assign these permissions. When I add a new field, assign these permissions. Okay. Okay, that's more. There is more, because you can also specify templates for specific tables. So these were, general templates valid for all the tables. Here we are saying that we set this template for the table customers and the group 2, not for all the tables. Here we are saying that for the table customers, when a new field of the table customer is added, and for group 2, the permission, let's say permission mask, it's not a permission mask actually, but it's a sequence of values representing each permission. Okay, and you can do it for field and for table. All right, that's it about permissions templates. Let me just tell you how these templates kind of interact with the 2 parameters we have seen before, these 2 ones. Okay, well, this sorry, I was thinking already about what we have to discuss later. When you set a rule with a permission template, your rules overrides the behavior you set here. Okay, So if, for example, you set grant permission after table installation equal to 1, but then for a specific group you set more restrictive permissions, this second rule overrides this one. However, for the groups you haven't for the combination of groups and tables you haven't specified a template, then this still matters. Okay. And what about this one? Well, this one always overrides the other permissions, rules, and templates. So if you set this to 0, every time, and again, only for MySQL, every time a new table is added, every time a field is added, and that's an auto increment field, permissions are set to no. All right, and these were the permission templates. All right, let's move on here. So we had configuration parameters, templates, then we have custom page permissions. Custom page permissions. I mean, so far we have discussed just CRUD permissions, right? But also custom pages need permission. What is a custom page? For example, this one is a custom page, a page where I added some charts. Okay, and this particular page, dashboard, needs permission. So here, not only I have tables and views, but also custom pages. So dashboard, and for dashboard we have 3 different values. Obviously you also need to set the group we are discussing, so admin, employees, or managers in this case, and you set the permission to yes, no, or yes but don't show in menu. Let me tell you something about this later. Yes and no are, you know, very simple. Basically, you want to show or not the custom page to that specific group. So now I am logged in as a root, that is part of the admin group. So I'm seeing the dashboard, but if this is, let me also copy this URL for later. But if I set it to no, then I won't see, you know, the menu item in the menu. Dashboard is not here anymore. And if I try, you already see that if I try to force that, so to open the URL of that page, I get an error. All right. This doesn't happen if instead I choose yes but don't show in menu. Save. Yes but don't show in menu. So in this case, let me show you again. The dashboard menu item is not displayed here. However, if I reach the URL, so if I know the URL, I can access the page. This can be useful in a few cases. For example, if you don't want, you know, the link in your menu, but you want to open the page using a custom link of some kind. All right. Okay. So next topic is custom button. We have a few things to say about custom buttons, so probably I'll save this for the next episode together with row level permissions. Let me just introduce the topic. Basically, this is, yet another element we need permissions for. We discussed CRUD permissions. We discussed on table and view. We discussed custom pages permissions, and now we need to discuss custom buttons permissions. What is a custom button? Let me, probably we have something here. Yes, approve selected supplier. This is a custom button. That's a button that triggers the execution of a function with custom code, custom PHP or JavaScript code I wrote. Okay. Again, this is something we need permissions for. So you want to show this button, you want to allow the execution of this function, approve selected suppliers, only maybe to certain groups or certain users, or only according to certain conditions. Next time we will see all these things and probably also row level permissions. Okay, so let me see here. Okay, yeah, so I think that's it for today. Next Tuesday we will discuss again permissions. So see you next time. Ciao.